Hey YouTube, it's Kyle, CryptoKyle. I am producing a video here on several things. I wanted to talk about Bitcoin, Litecoin, maybe some altcoins we'll get to. Sorry I haven't been posting videos. I had been producing them, but one didn't upload, and then the other one I just was sitting on my desktop, and I should have because you'll see if you look back at them. I'm posting them now. They're currently uploading to YouTube. I was eyeing Litecoin right here around 103 and like the 107 breakout. So man, that would have been a good trade, a good post for anybody that would have taken the trade. In any case, we saw a huge push. The thing went just balls to the wall, all the way up to the 200. Let's take it right there. Just past the 200 fib here, damn near right on it, which would have been 200. So I'm almost hit there by like $1 off. It's pretty crazy. That's why I really like Fibonacci, because it's really going to show you where to take profit, especially when it gets super extended off these moving averages. So let's take a look, see where we can potentially add to our position. If we hadn't sold everything here and you're trying to do what I'm doing, it's more along the lines of just accumulation during these consolidation periods. And then I'm actually, sometimes I take profit, but I'm really looking to hold it and then add to my position on some consolidation because of just how I feel about the cryptocurrency market. It's not something that I don't think is going to go away, and I think it's just now taking off. So I think it has, a good decade run before a bear market, unless there's a news catalyst that I'm not aware of. Maybe a government steps in, but these were created to get rid of central banks essentially. So the market is pricing these on their own. So I think once the supply is reached on most of these cryptos, that's when we would see the true value show. So until then, I think the volatility will just continue and we'll just start seeing higher dollar amounts. So I'm just slowly accumulating. I'm not saying I'm putting my entire life savings in this. I'm just adding, it's just a piece to my portfolio essentially. So I'll put in 5 to 10% every month, and then of what I want to invest total into cryptocurrency. So, as these pullbacks come, I'm like, ooh, nice little buying opportunity. So I saw it. I was watching 103, and for some reason, I just canceled the order. I didn't know if it was going to be a false breakout. It was a stupid move because it just rocketed up, and I saw it go up, and I was like, wow, it already hit 140. Now I'm chasing it. So I didn't know where it was going to end or if it would just sell off immediately. So I waited, and I actually added yesterday. I added at the 61% fib here at 140 is where I actually got in. So that's where I added to my position. We might see still some more sideways consolidation, but it seems like Litecoin's gaining some market traction, which I really like. You could see a lot of volume that came in, especially it's just like starting to ramp up now. I do like the fact that it's getting some positive news as far as its transactional speed, which is a little bit better than Bitcoin. So it could certainly be a contender as far as being one of the top market caps for coin, and already is. So I don't think that is going to change anytime soon. I think that will just continue as long as the market's believing so. Then yeah, I think that's the way it's going to go. So I really like Litecoin. I would say you could add here, small position, but you might want to wait a little bit more to see it come back down into this moving average here. We want to kind of see it, start to steady out and go back up more of a 45-degree angle like this section here before the pop. So we're going to see maybe a little bit of consolidation here and then up. Don't know how the futures are going to play into this. I think people are going to maybe get spooked. And I can talk about that in a little bit, but I like Litecoin. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Okay, cool. So from our previous breakout here, it slammed all the way up almost to the 261 fib. And I did videos on this saying after this breakout here, like this area here, that it was going to go up to like 16K, and then it just kept cruising and it got really extended. And when it hit 19, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it made it all the way to the 261. Like almost just like $100 off that if you draw your fibs like in this area or here, maybe it was the 227. So in any case, it's super extended. Then we saw this massive sell-off. So if you draw your fibs back up to that pivot, we saw a massive sell-off back down into the 61%, and it just tapped this moving average right there. So we're still healthy. Like this is not a huge crash per se. Like a crash would be it coming all the way down to here, right? That's a crash. This is a healthy pullback, and it's just a lot of profit taking from being long in this area before the breakout. So that's where you would be selling. And then if your strategy is to sell the highs or try to time the market, sell the highs, and then buy back on the low. If you're just trying to accumulate, then certainly you would want to buy the pullbacks, right? And then you would set a stop at a point where there's a new high that's established that's lower than the previous high. That's when you would ask yourself, I think this is going to be the downturn of the market. So we haven't seen that. We haven't seen a new high that is lower than its previous high. So these pivots here, like this low is still higher than this low, and then this low, and then this low is higher than this low, and then this low is higher than this low. So it's still marching, stair-stepping up. So we're still good. We're still good to go. Now, there's futures coming to market tonight, and there's no money being pumped into actually Bitcoin, or you're not actually shorting Bitcoin. What you're doing with the futures contract is you're speculating on the price that is in the future. So if I think the price of Bitcoin is going to be $10,000 a month from now, then I would buy a futures contract that would essentially say that the market is going to move that direction in my favor. Vice versa, if I think the price is going to be 20,000. So there's actually not new money being introduced into the Bitcoin market. You have to understand that. So there's the volume associated with those new dollars is not going to be here. You're not going to see that here. You're going to see it in the futures market, which is in US dollars. That's being traded in US dollars. So I could imagine that people don't understand that, and they're going to get spooked, and we might see some selling, or it just trades like it normally trades, and we just grind this 9-day moving average. Maybe we get a nice pullback here. I was hoping we would get a pullback to this 20-day moving average eventually, which we may get actually still, because I like that to add to a position. So you're still okay here, but you could see this little doji forming, like it tapped here, and now we're getting some sell. So if we lose this moving average, I would say that we're going to come down pretty hard, pretty quick, maybe into this guy here, or this previous high of 10,000-ish, 11,000-ish. So just be aware of that. And I honestly, I don't know what's going to happen, because it hasn't ever been done before. So this is the first time that you're going to be able to trade futures on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is relatively new, and it's not a mature market by any means. So keep that in mind. If we do hold this and we start to consolidate, I would look to, if you're going to trade it, I would look to enter a position on a candle, a new candle that breaks the previous high. So as we start moving, like you can see in here that none of these really broke. And then when it broke out was this candle right here. That's a good add position. Same as we move up. We saw some sideways consolidation and we started to break out. You could see that the volume came in right through here. Boom. So now we're going to try to see some downturn, some consolidation here. If we lose this moving average, which it hasn't done in a while, expected a pretty significant pullback, especially when people start to see that happen. You're going to see, and I think it's already starting to happen here as we get closer to the countdown for the futures, is that there's so many new traders in here that it's going to potentially crash pretty hard pretty quick, just because of the way that the panic sets in. You could imagine, like, you see what you see a dollar amount, and then it's slowly dwindling against you, and then at that speed in which the dollar amount is dwindling picks up, it creates a sense of fear in you. And that's something you experience as a trader or as an investor. But for people that are new to it, they panic and then they immediately want to get out of the trade to protect that dollar. What they don't understand is that they're thinking of the now, and they think that it's the end of the world, and they don't think 5 to 10 years from now, because people want their money now, especially for people that are chasing Bitcoin as a get-rich scheme, and they're not thinking about it as just like investing in a longer-term stance, right? So even if you're trading it, you need to be cautious, and if you're thinking of long-term, just add on these dips. That's the healthy thing to do, and don't put all your eggs in one basket. Essentially, just take it nice and steady. You want to build this over the next decade. You want to have like a pretty strong portfolio. I would say you would want exposure to not only Bitcoin because it's such a large platform, but Litecoin and some other ones potentially. Like I've been eyeing Ripple, although that has more of a centralized approach to cryptocurrency, which is like the anti-crypto. So it's just cheap. So I was thinking maybe I could get in around here, and then in a year, 2 years time, sell it for $1. So that would be pretty good if I could build a pretty reasonable size. Although I don't like the way that it looks on the daily. This is like super choppy. You can see how clean this is. Just like how clean these candlesticks are, and they just move so fluidly, and they retrace, and the moving average is so nice. This is just like up and down mayhem, like wicks on every side. It's like you get the little, it's best to buy it somewhere in its moving average. Like here, it would be a good spot to buy because it's kind of centered. And then, you could, hopefully it starts trending back up, but I don't know which way it's trending after I looked at this. So there's probably some other ones coming up. I do really like Litecoin though. This is the one I'm gonna start putting money towards. As I move along. Okay. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on it tonight, and like I said, if it loses this level here, expect a pretty significant pullback. I'll draw it. It's like right in here. So let's just say 14 grand right there, and then oh goodness. Like if panic really sets in, that's like worst case scenario. Like, goodness, this is just one massive thing. 50% is here, but that moving average is there. So could see a pretty big sell-off down to this area if all hell breaks loose and people get spooked going into this futures. but I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm just going to sit back and watch it. And then I'll buy the dip, if anything. That would be great. Okay, guys, that's it from me. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll try to help you, time these entries a little bit better based on some technical analysis. But fundamentally, I think, this is a financial markets game changer as far as just blockchain. Not only the Bitcoin blockchain, Ethereum blockchain, but just blockchain in general. So I feel like even if you do think this is a higher risk, you should probably, you want a little bit of your portfolio, and you want some exposure to this. Is what I'm trying to say. You want a little piece of this, even if it's just like 10 to 15% of your portfolio. You're gonna want exposure to this, because it's those high risk investments that pay off. And if it's just 15% of your portfolio and it busts and it goes to zero, you're not going to be on the street, right? But if there's a chance, and obviously like people that got in earlier, it's still early in my opinion, they've made boatloads of money. Had they held throughout, all the way up here. I doubt that a lot of those early adopters held all the way up through here, but who knows? Maybe they just had such large size that there was no point in selling anymore after a certain point, and they're just going to kind of ride it out and see how high it can actually go until it stabilizes. But I think you want exposure to it. Like, you can go get $100 account on Coinbase and, buy a single Litecoin, buy 1.5 Litecoin, and then maybe your next paycheck or a month from now, you look and that 100 is now 200, 250, 300, who knows? And maybe you take, a little bit more money and you add to the position on a pullback, because, if you think about 5 to 10 years from now, is Litecoin really going to be $148? Probably not. It'll probably be much more, in my opinion, because digital currency is disrupting the way in which banks are able to charge fees for transactions. It's going to disrupt the way Visa, MasterCard, how they work. Square is already getting involved because they understand that if they don't, they're going to get left behind. So they need to start accepting digital currency. Granted, no one's paying with digital currency yet because it's being used as a investment instrument. That will end probably when the supply of the coin runs out, because then the true value will show. But right now it's going through a hoarding phase. So people are either mining them and hoarding them, or they're just buying and hoarding them. Like, rarely are people paying with Bitcoin or any other coin. Why would you pay with something that you think is more valuable tomorrow, right? You don't want to go out and buy, like the guy did back when Bitcoin first started, buy a pizza with 10,000 Bitcoin, and then now he's like, holy shit, it hit $20,000. So they're hoarding it, and then when the supply is reached, which is 100 years from now, then the true price will be reflected, and the market will price it accordingly. So hopefully it's more than this 15,000, and hopefully it's become widely adopted. I would think, you would have to understand that outside of the United States, there's billions of people that need a way to pay digitally. Like, they don't have bank accounts because those governments charge them too much. They need ways to send money to their family overseas without Western Union charging them a boatload, and not having to worry about going to a physical location and picking up a fiat currency. And in any case, most US dollars, like I think 90% of US dollars are digital anyway. So it's the banks that are really probably going to start lobbying against this if they haven't already. Either that, or they're trying to develop their own platforms with blockchain to allow digital currency to flow freely. They may start charging fees, so hopefully not, but I don't know what's going to happen. It's a new market. It's still maturing. It's like the Wild West here. So I just look at the numbers, though. I'm just talking. Sorry, I'm kind of going on a tangent, but just looking at the numbers, I think that we saw this breakout here. That was great. So we could expect a retracement to around 124 potentially is where I would like to add. I want to see another candle come down. It doesn't. If it breaks over this one, I would be surprised over 160 on the next candle, because that's the current high. I would be surprised. I think we kind of see a little fade like we did here on that last pop. We see a little fade, and then we start stair-stepping again before the next leg up. So, and then we have now new support, which is like right in this area of right in here, like 104-ish is our new support. So if it comes down here, you could imagine it like tinkering right in here. And that would be still healthy, in my opinion. Okay, guys, let me know if you have any questions. Cheers.